One small flame can reorder an entire life. What appears tiny and ordinary between your fingers becomes, in the unseen, a banner of fire. It announces judgment to hidden altars, drags schemes into daylight, and clothes every plotting tongue in quiet shame. People assume it takes 100 ceremonies, 1,000 incantations, nights without sleep and years without hope before darkness loosens its grip. Yet there is a simpler law, a single prophetic act, made with clean intent, steady breath, and unshakable faith, can overturn a mountain of resistance. Even a matchstick, slight as a reed, humiliates arrogance when it is used with spiritual authority. Consider this: what looks more insignificant than a match? And still, in the hand of one who understands energy and alignment, it becomes a lever that moves the unseen. The instant you strike it, you do not merely light wood, you signal the realm of spirit. You declare that light has entered, therefore, darkness must depart without negotiation. Those who hid behind veils, who sealed your path with secret words, suddenly appear exposed, stumbling in the glow they once ridiculed. This is an ancient pattern. The sacred has always chosen the simple. A pebble in David's sling, a staff in Moses' hand, a jar of oil rescued from scarcity. In the East we say, Chi follows intention. Do not despise the small. Do not despise the matchstick you hold. Joined to a clear mind and upright breath, it becomes a torch of Dharma, fire that purifies, presence that guides, power that corrects imbalance. No charm, no shadow worker, no whispering altar can stand in its path. Some of you have fasted, prayed, wept at midnight, yet felt surrounded, doors stiff, favor delayed, dreams troubled by strange pursuits. Your prayers are not broken, your technique is. You have not learned to pair word with sign, breath with flame, faith with act. Heaven's pattern is simple: align within, declare without, act once, precisely. A match looks fragile, but its fire can devour a forest. In spirit, that blaze becomes justice, release, reversal. Each strike proclaims, I refuse the night. Let every plot return to ashes. Let shame sit where pride was seated. Light does not argue with darkness, it arrives, and the argument ends. When you kindle that flame and speak from your center, your decree outruns your voice. The glow becomes a verdict, cycles close, doors unbolt, and what prowled in corners must step forward to bow and be dismissed. Fire also heals by burning away what does not belong. In its purity, it separates truth from residue, removing contamination, lifting curses, cutting the cords tied to your name. One clean flame can accomplish what years of striving could not. So learn this and keep it close. Enemies boast to frighten, but wax collapses before heat. Ignite with intention, and altars that pretended to be mountains become smoke. Even a small light will guide you out of a maze. In total night, a spark is a map. When you partner flame with faith, you are not playing with elements, you are inviting holy fire to do what it has always done: purify, expose, destroy, and lead. This is why darkness fears light, and why one match, held rightly, changes everything. Fire has always carried a language deeper than words. From the dawn of humanity, it was the element of purification, the signal of presence, the mirror of spirit itself. When fire appears, it does not consult. It consumes. When light rises, darkness cannot debate, it must surrender instantly. That is why shadow workers fear flame, because it is uncompromising. And when you hold even a single match, you cradle the symbol of that eternal fire. Darkness thrives where no light has entered. Witchcraft, envy, and hidden forces gather strength in secrecy, behind curtains, beneath whispers, within altars no one sees. Yet the moment flame is struck, concealment collapses. The match is small, yet the flame cuts across realms. It pierces veils and declares, nothing remains hidden. When you strike it while breathing faith into the atmosphere, you command, every work conceived in shadow is dragged into the open. Notice the beauty of this law: light never struggles. You do not plead with darkness. You do not argue. You simply introduce illumination, and night flees of its own accord. In the same way, when you strike that match with a clear spirit, you do not need to scream at your enemies or prove your power. The fire speaks. The flame is already a decree. It announces, the time of shadows has expired. And the unseen realm responds. Fire also refines. It does not merely destroy, it transforms. In Eastern wisdom, fire is the element that transmutes energy, turning raw into pure, heavy into light, iron into gold. Spiritually, that same flame sweeps through your home, your lineage, your thoughts, dissolving what is impure and leaving what is essential. That flicker in your hand becomes the torch that burns ancestral curses, loosens parasitic spirits, and melts the invisible chains bound around your destiny. A single flame may feel small, but its reach is infinite in the unseen. Enemies often appear immovable, like iron walls. They paint themselves as mighty, expecting you to bow before their intimidation. Yet before divine fire, all such structures are wax before the sun. Just as the snow cannot negotiate with spring, their plots cannot endure once light has come. When you strike the match and declare heaven's flame upon their schemes, their altars dissolve into ash, their arrogance falls flat, and shame clings to them like a cloak. Do not forget, light guides. Even the faint glow of a match in utter night is enough to reveal a path. In the same way, that flame becomes a compass. It shows you the door where confusion once reigned. It clears the fog of stagnation. It blinds the eyes of those who tried to lead you astray. Your enemies lose their bearings while your path becomes luminous. This is the secret many miss: the flame is not ordinary. It is not ritual for ritual's sake. It is a bridge. It is action fused with intention, faith fused with symbol, heaven's decree expressed in matter. That is why the flame unnerves darkness. It is pure alignment, beyond debate. The enemy trembles not because of superstition, but because you are wielding a law. Light always dominates shadow. When you hold the match, do not see fragile wood. See a divine staff, a rod of judgment, a sword of flame. Every strike is a verdict. Every spark is a sentence. And each burn is a page turned, closing the chapter of affliction and opening the book of release. This is why those who mock you today will soon stumble in shame tomorrow. For they did not know you held fire. Now the time has come to understand not only the meaning of fire, but the way it must be used. This is no game, no empty display of power. It is a prophetic act that calls for preparation, alignment, and reverence. The matchstick in your hand is not merely wood, it is a torch of heaven, but only if your heart and breath are rightly tuned. Without that, it is only ash. With it, it is judgment, release, and light. The first step is inner preparation. Do not rush to strike the match as though it were casual. Still yourself. Breathe deeply. Forgive where forgiveness is needed, for bitterness contaminates fire. Align your spirit so that intention and energy flow freely. Know this: enemies do not bow to your anger, but they cannot withstand your clarity. A match in the hand of a distracted soul is nothing, but in the hand of a centered warrior, it is unstoppable. The second step is to speak. Hold the matchstick and give it voice before flame. Say aloud, as this fire rises, every darkness is consumed. Every plot against me is reduced to ash. Shame covers those who sought my downfall. Your words are the breath that feeds the flame. Silence in warfare is permission for shadows to linger. Therefore, let your decree thunder, even if whispered. It must carry authority, not volume. The third step is the strike. Ignite with focus. As the spark bursts forth, let imagination become vision. See the hidden altars catching fire. See curses unraveling into smoke. See chains crumbling into dust. Imagination in faith is not fantasy, it is agreement with heaven. What you envision, you partner with spirit to bring forth. If the fire is real to you inwardly, it will be undeniable outwardly. The fourth step is the burn. Do not extinguish it prematurely. Let it live its brief life with purpose. If the flame stings your skin, remember, it is but a symbol of what your enemies now taste. Every flicker is another fortress collapsing. If needed, light another, and with each new flame, declare a new verdict. Another scheme is ended. Another snare is broken. Another shame is returned. The fifth step is disposal. Let the ashes fall. Do not play with them. Do not gather them as though they hold more power. They are done, final, empty. Declare over them, from these ashes nothing rises again. The cycle is finished. Understand this truth, ashes do not resurrect. Once burned, the matter is sealed. Spiritually, this means your afflictions cannot rise again in their old form. The sixth step is thanksgiving. Never conclude a battle without gratitude. Speak thanks for the authority given to you, for the reversal of shame, for the freedom granted. Gratitude is the seal. It closes doors of attack and opens gates of blessing. It shifts you from war into peace, from striving into rest. Thankfulness is the fragrance that follows the fire, and it repels further invasion. Finally, the seventh step is consistency. One flame may end a battle, but stubborn enemies return. Be consistent in your practice. Not from fear, but from alignment. Each strike weakens the grip of shadows until nothing remains. Just as dripping water hollows stone, steady fire erodes every fortress. Persevere, and soon the night will hold no hiding place for your enemies. These steps are not ritualistic mechanics, they are alignment of body, breath, word, and symbol. When you perform them with sincerity, the match ceases to be small, it becomes cosmic. It becomes law. It becomes the decree that even the most arrogant enemy cannot escape. I have seen how a single act of flame can unravel years of oppression. Testimonies whisper this truth again and again. A woman, tormented night after night with dreams of serpents, her body weakened by strange sickness, her path blocked by unseen hands. She tried many remedies, prayed long hours, yet the attacks continued. Until one midnight she rose with boldness, matchstick in hand. She declared, "Every serpent spirit dies in this flame." She struck fire. That night the dream changed. No more snakes. No more chains. The attack ceased, and her enemies were stripped of their hidden power. A man, cheated year after year of his rightful promotion, saw the same cycle repeat. Each time his elevation approached, a shadowed figure would rise to block his way. Tired of defeat, he embraced this prophetic weapon. At midnight he struck a match and spoke, "Let every voice against my destiny burn." Within weeks, corruption was revealed in the very one who opposed him. The enemy fell in disgrace. He walked into honor. The fire had spoken, and heaven had judged. Another family knew only division, arguments, poverty, heaviness in every corner of their home. No peace, no unity. But one night the mother gathered her children. She placed a matchstick in each hand, and together they prayed, "Every spirit dividing us burns tonight." As their flames rose, something lifted. In the weeks that followed, the house softened. Arguments ceased. Opportunities opened. Shadows scattered. What had bound them in shame was consumed, and light entered their dwelling. Do you see? The secret is not the size of the tool, but the alignment of the spirit. David's stone seemed ridiculous before a giant armored in steel. Yet the smallest object, infused with faith, humiliated what the world thought invincible. The matchstick is no different. It appears ordinary until faith and word ignite it. Then it is more than wood, it is decree. This is heaven's delight, to use what looks weak to confound what appears mighty. That is why your enemies underestimate you. They think power lies in numbers, rituals, influence. They do not understand that the unseen flame burns fiercer than their gatherings. In your hand, even the smallest spark becomes a verdict. And that verdict is irreversible. I have witnessed consistency multiply this power. One woman lit a match nightly before bed, not missing a single day. She declared, "My home is sealed from witchcraft." Weeks passed. Then neighbors who had secretly plotted against her came forth in shame, confessing that they could no longer invade her space. The fire had drawn a boundary they could not cross. Her persistence turned her home into a fortress of light. Understand this: when fire speaks, enemies are not only defeated, they are humiliated. Their pride melts. Their schemes become public shame. And heaven arranges it so that those who once mocked your struggles are forced to admit they misjudged you. Fire is exposure. Fire is revelation. What lurked in the dark is unveiled, and once unveiled, it cannot return to secrecy. This is why I declare, with one matchstick, your enemies will fall in shame, one by one. You do not need elaborate ceremonies, nor endless tools. You need faith fused with fire, word joined with flame. From there, heaven completes what you cannot. Your story becomes testimony. Your life becomes proof. Your enemies become examples of what happens when light meets shadow. Yet with all this power comes a sacred warning: fire is never to be handled carelessly. The matchstick is not a toy, not a spectacle for pride, not a tool for vengeance born of bitterness. If you strike it with anger alone, you risk igniting destruction upon yourself. Spiritual fire is holy. It does not obey the flesh. It responds only to alignment with truth, purity, and divine will. Do not forget, God is the judge, not you. Your role is vessel, not executioner. When you act with a heart poisoned by revenge, you mirror the very forces you seek to overcome. The flame may burn, but it will not distinguish between enemy and wielder. This is why discernment is the shield that must accompany fire. Always purify your heart before the act. Always ask, am I seeking justice or feeding anger? Am I aligning with spirit or indulging ego? Fire listens to motive. Some will question, how can a matchstick deal with such deep battles? This is where wisdom enters. The power is not in the wood, nor in the spark. The matchstick is a symbol, a prophetic bridge. It is faith and obedience that turn symbol into sword. Without faith, it is mere ritual. With faith, it is divine decree. The ancients knew this. In Eastern temples, incense smoke rising was not about fragrance, it was intention carried into heaven. In the same way, the flame of the match is the prayer embodied, the declaration clothed in light. But beware, there are those who twist knowledge into harm. They take holy fire and turn it into witchcraft against the innocent. That path is ruin. To wield fire wrongly is to summon judgment upon oneself. What you project returns to its source. This is why the wise say, play not with the dragon's breath unless your heart is clean. Fire, misused, consumes the abuser first. And do not be impatient. Some light a single flame and expect instant collapse of all opposition. When change does not arrive in one night, they abandon the practice. But warfare is seldom instant. Enemies regroup, shadows resist. Persistence is required. Just as water carves stone through repeated drops, repeated flames erode every altar until nothing remains. Do not give up after one attempt. Let consistency be your strength, faith your endurance, and time your ally. Finally, understand this truth: once fire is released, it is final. Ashes do not resurrect. The decree spoken while flame burns is sealed in the spirit. That is why preparation matters so deeply. Do not speak lightly, for once spoken, it cannot be recalled. Pray, prepare, and align, then act. For when the flame rises, heaven writes it as law. Therefore walk carefully, walk reverently, but walk boldly. With discernment as your compass and purity as your shield, you cannot be burned. Fire will always fall upon your enemies, reduce their pride to cinders, and clothe them in the shame they intended for you. Misuse it, and you taste its sting yourself. Use it with reverence, and victory is assured. Now comes the moment of activation. Enough of theory, enough of waiting, enough of carrying secrets in silence. This is the time to rise with the authority already placed within you. Take a matchstick in your hand. Do not see fragile wood. See instead a staff of fire, a torch forged in heaven, a weapon written into your destiny. This is not a casual act. It is war in spirit, and tonight you stand not as victim, but as warrior. Lift your voice and speak with conviction. Every altar raised against me, be consumed. Every curse spoken over my life, become ash. Every shadow, every witchcraft, every monitoring spirit, shame shall be your garment. Do not whisper, for whispers carry no decree. Speak boldly. Let your words tremble through the unseen as you strike the flame. As the spark bursts forth, see with your spirit. Watch sickness and poverty ignite and vanish into smoke. Watch betrayal, rejection, and delay disintegrate before your eyes. Feel the heat, not as pain, but as confirmation that the fire has crossed realms. Declare aloud, the fire of heaven burns my enemies, and shame is their inheritance forever. Let each flicker become a hammer blow to every chain. As the flame dies into ashes, seal it with words, every battle ends in my favor. These ashes testify that nothing rises again. I walk in freedom. I walk in victory. I walk in unshakable power. Understand this deeply, ashes are final. They do not resurrect. They do not reform. What was consumed is finished. From this moment forward, your enemies cannot rebuild what heaven has destroyed. Now lift your hands in gratitude. Say, thank you, Source of Light, for granting me victory through what seemed small. Thank you for shaming those who mocked me. Thank you for proving that even the simplest tools in your hand are mighty weapons. Gratitude is not an afterthought, it is the lock upon the door of warfare. Without it, the battle remains open. With it, the cycle is closed, and peace begins to flow. And then speak this declaration 3 times, each time with greater force. With one matchstick, my enemies go down in shame. With one matchstick, every curse is broken. With one matchstick, I rise in victory. Let the words echo in your chest, in your mind, in your very bones. Feel the vibration align with heaven's decree. This is more than repetition, it is resonance. Every time you speak it, the unseen echoes louder. Do not leave this moment empty. Let the silence after the flame carry your certainty. You are changed. The battle is not around you anymore, it has been fought through you. And from today forward, those who looked at you as fragile will see the fire in your eyes and flee in disgrace. Never again underestimate what the eternal can do through the smallest act of faith. History itself whispers this truth. A stone felled a giant, a staff divided a sea, a jar of oil sustained a family. And now, a single matchstick humbles altars, breaks chains, and scatters enemies. The world mocks the small, heaven delights in it. For when victory comes through something fragile, no one can doubt that spirit moved. This is why I urge you, take this wisdom seriously. Do not treat it as mere story or ritual. This is a spiritual key, a divine secret passed into your hands. With it you are no longer powerless. You are no longer at the mercy of unseen forces. From now on, when enemies rise against you, you already know the answer. Take one matchstick, light it with faith, and decree their fall. That act alone changes your posture. You are no longer pursued, you are the one before whom shadows flee. But do not keep this light hidden. There are those around you, family members, friends, neighbors, who are silently fighting battles you cannot see. They suffer in dreams, in finances, in health, in relationships. They do not know where to turn. Share this truth with them. Tell them that even one flame, ignited with pure intent, is enough to shift the battle. By sharing, you are not spreading superstition, you are spreading deliverance. Someone's destiny may be saved by your willingness to speak. And remember, you are not alone. This path is not meant to be walked in isolation. The more we unite, the brighter our flame. One candle pierces night, but 1,000 torches blind the darkness. That is why fellowship matters. Where warriors gather, shadows tremble. When you join voices with others, every prophetic flame multiplies in strength. This is the essence of spiritual community. Together we rise, together we burn, together we remain unconquered. The question now stands before you like a door: will you continue as victim, or will you step through as warrior? Every moment you delay, shadows rejoice. Every time you act, they scatter. One matchstick is not only a symbol of judgment, it is a choice. Strike it, and you choose light. Strike it, and you declare, I refuse to bow. I refuse to break. I refuse to hide. So choose today. Take the fragile in your hand and turn it into the mighty. Watch as enemies stumble in shame, as their plans unravel, as their laughter turns hollow. Watch as your life, once surrounded, becomes radiant. For when the smallest act meets the greatest faith, destiny shifts forever. Understand this with reverence: the greatest victories are not born from complicated rituals, but from simple acts performed with unwavering faith. The flame you ignite is not mere fire, it is agreement with heaven, alignment with cosmic law. When spirit moves through small things, it reveals that true power is not in objects, but in the breath, the word, and the intention that animates them. Do not allow the simplicity of this act to fool you. Shadows will whisper, it is too easy, it cannot be real. But remember, darkness thrives on convincing you that you are helpless. When you light that match, you prove them liars. The act is simple, but its impact is profound. Heaven has always chosen what seems foolish to confound what appears wise. That is why a matchstick carries more authority than an entire altar raised in secret. Yet guard your heart. Fire is not a spectacle to entertain pride. It is not to be used for boasting or for wounding the innocent. Misuse brings destruction not to your enemy, but to you. If you strike in arrogance or anger, you step outside alignment. And what burns outside alignment turns against the hand that holds it. This is why preparation is sacred. Cleanse yourself, still your mind, center your breath. Let your motive be justice, not revenge. Let your aim be light, not ego. Patience, too, is part of warfare. Some strike once and demand immediate collapse, then walk away disappointed. But spiritual battles rarely yield in an instant. Persistence weakens fortresses brick by brick, flame by flame, until nothing remains. Just as enemies are relentless, so must your faith be consistent. Light again and again if needed, until shame fully rests on those who sought your fall. Know also this: fire is final. Once the flame burns, once the decree is spoken, it cannot be recalled. The spirit realm registers it as law. That is why you must not speak carelessly. Words spoken in fire are binding. Ashes do not rise again, what is consumed is sealed. Handle this with reverence, and you will walk in victory. Handle it recklessly, and you risk carrying scars. Discernment is your anchor. Ask always for wisdom before you strike. Align with Spirit's will, not your flesh's desire. If you walk in discernment, the fire will never betray you. It will burn every enemy scheme, collapse their pride, and return their shame upon their own heads. But if you walk in haste and ego, the flame may reveal your own darkness instead. So be still, be wise, be clean, and then be bold. For when all these are joined, one matchstick in your hand is not fragile. It is a divine verdict. It is a sword that cannot be resisted. It is light, and light always wins. Now step fully into this mystery. Enough of hearing, begin doing. Take a matchstick into your hand even now. Look at it closely. See beyond its wooden frame. See the torch of heaven disguised in smallness. See the rod of judgment, the flame of liberation. This is not superstition, it is alignment. This is not empty ritual, it is prophecy in motion. Lift your voice without hesitation, every altar lifted against me. As I strike this flame, you are consumed. Every curse spoken over my life, as I light this fire, you collapse into ashes. Every spirit monitoring my steps, every witch, every warlock, as this flame rises, shame is your garment forever. Do not whisper. Declare. Let your voice strike the atmosphere as the match strikes its spark. Watch as the fire comes alive. Do not see mere flame, see justice unfolding. Visualize sickness crumbling into smoke. Picture poverty and rejection ignited and dissolved. Feel betrayal itself turning brittle in the blaze. This is not imagination for fantasy, it is imagination as faith, the inner eye agreeing with heaven's decree. The more vivid you see, the swifter reality bends. Hold the flame. Let it burn as long as it can. If heat touches your fingers, remember, it is only a symbol of the pain your enemies now taste. Let each flicker remind you, heaven fights for you, not against you. If the flame dies too soon, take another, for each flame is another decree. Say aloud, another chain is broken. Another snare is consumed. Another shame has returned to its owner. And when nothing remains but ashes, seal it. Speak, these ashes mark the end. Nothing rises again from these remains. My battles are finished, my path is cleared, my destiny is open. Ashes are final. What has burned cannot return. By leaving them behind, you release the weight you carried and step into the light you called forth. Now lift your hands in thanksgiving. Say, thank you, eternal flame, for giving me power through the smallest thing. Thank you for clothing my enemies in the shame they planned for me. Thank you for proving that what is little in the world is mighty in the spirit. Gratitude seals the door, closes the warfare, and opens peace. Finally, declare 3 times with boldness, with one matchstick, my enemies fall in shame. With one matchstick, every curse breaks. With one matchstick, I rise in victory. Let your voice echo. Let your spirit vibrate. Each repetition hammers the truth deeper until even the shadows cannot deny it. This is your moment. This is your crossing. From this day forward, the fire you carry will be seen in your eyes. Those who mocked you will tremble. Those who cursed you will stumble. And those who doubted you will witness the flame of heaven moving through your life. From this day forward, never again despise the small things placed in your hand. A single flame has reminded you that destiny is not shaped by grand rituals or elaborate tools, but by faith made visible. The same spirit that parted seas and overturned empires still delights in using what appears fragile to humiliate what parades itself as mighty. One matchstick, lit with pure intent, is enough to scatter enemies, break cycles, and rewrite your story. Carry this knowledge as treasure. Do not let it fade like smoke in the wind. Let it burn in your memory each time fear tries to return. You are no longer helpless. You are no longer bound. You are armed with fire, and heaven fights alongside you. And when the shadows rise again, as they will, remember, you already know what to do. Strike the match, lift your voice, and decree their downfall. But do not keep this wisdom locked inside. There are others, your family, your friends, your community, who struggle in silence. They carry wounds you cannot see, battles they cannot name. They need this light. Share it with them. Show them that even the smallest prophetic act can drive away darkness. In doing so, you are not simply spreading words, you are spreading deliverance. Someone's freedom may ignite because of your courage to share. And remain connected to those who walk this same path. A single candle pierces the night, but when flames unite, the darkness is blinded. Together, warriors burn brighter. Together, prayers roar louder. Together, enemies cannot endure. This is the secret of spiritual fellowship: isolation weakens, unity strengthens. Do not walk alone, walk with the family of light, and your fire will never be extinguished. The choice now lies in your hands. Will you remain as you were, silent, waiting, enduring? Or will you rise as warrior, torch in hand, declaring boldly that shame belongs not to you but to your enemies? One matchstick is more than enough to tip the scales. Strike it, and you will see every mocking voice silenced, every hidden altar turned to ash, every curse shattered. Remember this eternal law: the greatest victories are born from the smallest acts of faith. A stone felled a giant, a staff opened the sea, a jar of oil saved a lineage, and now one matchstick humbles every power that rose against you. Never again underestimate the weapons placed in your hand. Use them. Share them. Live them. And your life will never remain the same. Watch, pray, and shine this truth outward. Let the world know that even the smallest flame can humiliate the greatest darkness. May your enemies scatter. May your testimony multiply. And may your destiny blaze brighter than ever before.